Greetings. So, yes. Okay, so, on Instagram last night, I posted a little preview to this, and today I am making the follow-up video. So, the topic at hand is full body training. It is getting sour scowls from people driving through the mall parking lot at me. I wonder why. Yeah, and before I get into anything, I apologize for looking like a homeless person today. I just got out of karate, and I was a little bored. So, yeah. So, anyway, let's get into it. So, Chris Jones and Vegangains, both of which have their pros and their cons, got into a little argument. Now, usually, Vegangains, okay, let's talk about him for a second. Do I like him? I don't like his attitude. I think he's a bit of a troll. I think he needs to kind of chill the fuck out when he gets into it with people. There are a lot of ad hominem attacks, stuff like that, but you know what? When he researches his research, he knows what he's doing. He brings up data. When he brings forward an argument, it's very hard to refute because it's based on data. That's what I do, and I respect him for that, at least. Chris Jones, on the other hand, he's a really nice guy. He's a really cool guy. Very experienced personal trainer. In fact, he's one of my role models. However, a lot of his videos, I do have to disagree with a lot of his training methods that he brings to people. But you know what? The reason that I'm siding with Chris Jones in this video is because of one thing. Chris Jones made his argument very explicit. His argument wasn't that full body training is never good. What he said was that, very specifically, an upper body, lower body split is better for a specific kind of person. So bodybuilders, people who are looking to get the maximum amount of hypertrophy, don't necessarily care that much about strength. Of course, you're going to get it with any kind of program if you're progressively overloading. But his idea was that frequency, that volume is more important than frequency in that such exact context, bodybuilding. And I have to agree with him. And the funny thing is, I recently just measured in at 17-inch arms. Just so happened, I also recently switched to an upper-lower split. Now, yes, why am I agreeing with Chris Jones? I'm a full-body guy, right? Well, I am. And I put most of my clients on a full-body program because I believe in it. I believe if you're a novice, you're going to make the most gains getting the most out of your frequency. But one of my first videos, in fact, I think it was my first video that I made, I was discussing what the best routine for bodybuilding is. I need to either rename that video or take it down and modify it a little bit and bring it back up. Basically, long story short, the way that I usually train, I train for frequency. So 3 times a week, full body, hit everything. So day A might be, I believe in that video, it was up incline press, barbell, front squats, and I think some rows. And then I'd also do a couple, some bicep curls, I think. I'd do some abs and then hamstring curls, something like that. I don't know exactly what it was. And then day B would be like deadlifts, overhead press, pull-ups, and God knows what else, like 3 other accessories to those lifts. Now, what you have to consider as a bodybuilder is that every training parameter that you put into your lifts, that you put into your programs has diminishing returns. So your volume is going to have diminishing returns. When you do that first set, most of the gains are going to come from that. Like like 50%. Your second set is going to be like 30%. Your third set's going to be 15%. But you are going to recover from that. You are going to make gains from that up to a certain point. And your frequency is also going to have diminishing returns. So if you're training full body, let's say 3 times a week, well, why don't you train 4 times a week? Diminishing returns. Keep in mind, you're not going to have as many diminishing returns as you would from volume. But the problem that you run into when you are dealing with high frequency is this. I don't know how many of you guys do full body routines, but when I do them, I am tapped at the end of them. And I do 3 sets, or 4 or 5, depending on what I do. 3 to 5 sets of 5 to 10 reps of any given exercise for any given muscle group. So I'm not getting a whole lot of volume. And again, Vegangains did say in his video that, and this is a good point, you can put a lot of volume into a full body workout, right? And that's true. Like, you could do 4 sets of 10 bench. But the problem is, when you're training and you become exhausted, like your muscles are tapped and fatigued, like let's say you do 4 sets of 10 bench. When you go to do your 4 sets of 10 front squats, you're not going to be nearly as ready for that set as you would if you started with the front squats. And in reverse. So if you start with the front squats, you do 4 sets of 10, you're not going to be able to put as much weight on the bar when you go to the bench press. And that's the problem that I had run into for the last few months. And I thought it might have just been me not eating enough, which it kind of was a bit of a problem. But even so, I gave it about a month of full body training thinking that was the problem, and it really wasn't. The problem is, like, look, your body has a limited amount of endurance that it can take. You know, there's only so much that you can put on your body. So basically the reason that I agree with Chris Jones is that when you want volume, you got to turn the frequency down, because you're just going to be exhausted. And the thing is too, why don't you add to your frequency? Why don't you do a 4th or a 5th bodybuilding day, full body? Well, the problem there is that you're going to tax your nervous system a lot more than you would if you just add more volume over separate days. And you can get away with having a lot less deload time because your body's not nearly as stressed from all the heavy fucking compound movements and weights that it's being exposed to. So that's my general opinion on the matter. That's why I think Chris Jones won the argument, because again, it was his point. His point was very specific. And, you know, full body training is great. I'm a proponent of it. I believe in it for novices. I believe in it for intermediates. In fact, if you're a power lifter, I don't think you should ever stop doing a full body routine. If you're a martial artist, there's no reason for you to be doing high volume. That's really stupid. There's no reason for that whatsoever. I mean, unless under very specific circumstances. So that's my 2 cents on it. And new outro. In case I don't see you. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.